is a cool studio.
Well, Tori Piskin, thanks for coming to the cool studio.
Thanks for having me. You saw my interesting parking job.
You almost, well, two things happened. There's this tree on my street that a huge branch, I heard this huge crash, and a branch just came down and crashed and destroyed this car.
Oh.
And then like the police came and they like cleared the branch, and then they sent the tree people to come clean it up. Next day, another car parks there. A different branch comes and crushes another car. I'm not making this up. And I was like, okay. They come and do the same thing again.
Yeah.
Third day, another branch.
No.
Yes, 3 days in a row. This tree is the most savage tree.
I feel like I should, every guy that I don't like, that
Yeah,
did
tell
me
him to
wrong,
park there.
I'll be like, hey, I actually thought about it. I think we should get back together. Even though you don't want X, Y, and Z, you don't want a relationship, you don't want blah, but I really want to see you. And then just have them under that tree.
Yeah, have them come.
Stop. Wait, I think this is the most amazing idea I've ever heard.
I think it's the best idea. This is now a relationship advice podcast featuring the tree. We need to name the tree. How about Marty?
Marty? No, I think the tree should be like Cruella de Vil.
A female tree.
Yeah, it's a female tree.
Okay, because she's going to crush the male
Yeah, she doesn't really
cars.
say anything.
Cruella?
She's kind of just like, She kind of does a lot of like eye movements, like, oh, sorry. Like that type of girl.
Yeah. What's interesting is that like when the city came to clean up, they only cleaned up the mess.
Okay.
They're like, you look up at the tree, it's obviously a nightmare, like
Yeah.
of falling branches. And they're like, they just left that alone. And they just cleaned up the mess on the ground.
So what happens to the car?
I don't know. I guess they call their
shit.
insurance. And I mean, it's not like crushed, undrivable, but
Yeah.
they're dents in the roof and like dents in the hood.
Yeah, I
like
wouldn't want
big
that.
branches. Like you could hear the snap and the crash.
Oh, no, I don't want that. I
No.
don't like know how to do anything with my car. I'm honestly surprised I even know how to drive it.
How did you manage to operate a car since you're a New Yorker, though?
Well, first off, I took driving lessons when I came to LA. Like,
You did not.
yeah.
They were not
An
great.
adult driving lesson. So I learned how to drive in college.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took my driving test when I was like 22. I mean,
Yeah.
still already old. And then I was like, this was the first time I was driving consistently in my life, moving to LA. So I was like, I don't trust myself. I didn't even know. I'll never forget when I was testing cars out. I turned to my dad and I was like, which one's the gas and which one's like the pedal?
brake?
I don't even know what they're called.
Which one's the gas and which one's the pedal is so funny because that's not even the two names. One's a brake. They're both pedals.
Well, I don't know. I just don't. Anyway, so yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like that experienced.
Yeah, but you got a good, like a RAV4. That's a good car.
Well, I wanted a high car because I was nervous that like if I got into an accident, and I
You
want to
can
be
see?
high off the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
I basically want to be in like a moving box.
Yeah, you are. It's a box, like a chicken box, right?
Yeah, I don't want people. So yeah, my parking. So I took driving lessons when I came here, and she told me I was good, but I need to work on my turns. She said I did wide turns, but it'd be exhausting. It'd be like 2 hours a day.
Of wide turning?
No, just driving, and she'd be really fast. She'd be like left, right, but I'm dyslexic, so I'm like, I'd be like getting everything wrong.
Is left, right dyslexic?
Yeah, like directional stuff.
I thought that was like words.
It's everything.
It's
Welcome
everything.
to dyslexia. Yeah,
It's everything.
Yeah.
So if I say left, do you get nervous? You're like, oh my
No.
God, what is that?
No, I know. It takes me probably like a second longer than most people.
Okay.
Like I have to be like,
But
it's
do
almost
you-
like a physical thing I think of.
But do you do this? Like left. Okay, this one says L. This one does not.
No, but
Okay.
they like taught me that when I was younger. They'd be
Yeah.
like L for left, and I was like
Yeah.
L for loser. I look like a fucking loser doing this.
Right, just keep it down here and you're fine.
Yeah, I was like L.
Do you use Open Dyslexic?
What is that?
It's the dyslexic font.
No. Oh,
On, like, a
used it
Kindle?
before. Yeah.
I've used it, and I don't think I'm dyslexic, but I've used it, and it's great.
Yeah, it helps you read better.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting.
And it almost looks the same as right. It's not like some crazy hieroglyphics. It's
No,
just
no, they just.
change the serifs on the.
Yeah, because
fonts.
everything like with dyslexia, you're much more of like visual. So the words, it's like I almost like see shapes rather than words.
Okay.
So I think dyslexic font makes it like a little more
Better?
interesting. Yeah, like curves and stuff.
But like, what is so if does it make
I
you?
probably can't read your handwriting first off.
But that's just because it's terrible.
No, but I also just like can't read handwriting.
But you could read like that. Like, what does that say?
Legal pad?
Yeah.
Okay, good. But did you see how I was like See, the thing is with dyslexia, you can't actually pronounce words. You just have memorized words. So so any like learning new words is like very challenging.
Oh, so you memorized it in its entirety?
Yeah, I don't like know how to sound out words. Like they've taught me. I can tell you, I went to like a special school for people with learning disabilities. Everyone had dyslexia and like Asperger's and ADHD. It was like a very odd school. But they taught us all these different ways to like pronounce words.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was interesting. So yeah, it was like in the city, but it was like the least cool school in the city.
In like on the island?
No, in Manhattan.
In Manhattan, yeah, on the island.
What do you mean? Oh, but when I think on the island, I think Long Island.
Okay.
Yeah. What?
That's fair. That's fair.
When people are like on the island, it's like, oh, Long Island.
Okay, that's fair.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes, I got one thing right. Okay.
All right. No, you win that one because you're native. I lived in New York, but you're the native New Yorker.
Yeah, I'm
so
a
you have
native
that
New
on
Yorker.
me. So I will defer to you on that. And
But here's the thing. I'm a native dyslexic New Yorker, so I have no idea where I'm ever going. Like before we had like Google Maps on the phone, I would be lost all the time. I would go up to people and
But New York's a grid. It's like the easiest city
I
not
don't
to
even
be.
understand what a grid is. I would go up to people and I'd be like, excuse me.
I don't believe that you don't understand what a grid is.
Okay, maybe
Here's
I understand
a grid.
it, but
We're using this pad a lot today.
all right, here we go.
That's a grid.
This
It's
is not
tic-tac-toe.
a pod. Yeah, but what do you mean by it's a grid?
Look, this is one streets go this way and streets go that way.
Right. Okay, but here's the thing. So on 33rd Street on Park Avenue, that subway, I get out and I'm always so confused which way's the east side and which way's the west
But
side.
that's everyone.
Oh.
Yeah. We have to be like, all right, you kind of look, is it streets going up or are they going down? Then you
Okay, I don't do that. I just look for like landmarks. I'm like, oh, does
Yeah.
that place look familiar? Or I end up just asking people.
Yeah. They actually did a study that when men versus women, that men typically are more map oriented and women are
Okay.
more landmark oriented.
Yeah, I'm definitely that.
So when people like, this might be an out of date study, so to speak,
let's
but
hear.
I saw it on TV like maybe 10 years ago. And yeah, they were like, so if you ask a woman directions, it's down past the McDonald's.
Yeah.
And a man will be like, you go left for 2 miles and then you can make a right for a mile.
Yeah, I'm definitely more like, you go
McDonald's.
down to the McDonald's. And I always have some like story. I was there once.
Get
you know
a
what I mean?
McGriddle.
Yeah, I was there. I haven't had fries in a while, but it's really good. You can go there and then you make a left and then there's a tree.
Yeah,
We like telling stories directionally.
exactly. And then the tree drops branches on your car, crushes your car. You give up on your LA dream and you move back to New York.
Exactly.
When I saw you park under the tree, I was like, I guess I have to say something. I couldn't like let your car get crushed. I would be.
No, I did. When I parked my car in my garage, I got some of the pole paint on my car.
In that building.
Yeah, in my
Because I lived
building.
in that building before. And
Yeah, you did.
And I
The
did the same.
broadcast center.
I did the same thing.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I pole crushed the car.
It was the yellow paint was like all over my car.
The poles in that building are insane. They're too close to everything.
Yeah.
Especially on the one that goes up the ramp.
Oh, I don't do that. I live. My car is parked on the lower one.
Yeah, the lower one is much better.
Yeah,
but even
that's
still, they're
better.
very tight.
Yeah, people like don't know. People in the garage like turn really fast, so at any moment I can get into a crash with someone.
Yeah.
And they're always like giving me some weird look with their fucking like Range Rover and like sign and then like big lips. Like everyone in my building's like very LA or like just moved to LA and like doesn't
Right.
know how to be like just a normal person.
They're delusional with their dreams, or they're delusional with their dreams.
But I parked. So my parking spot, I guess I parked too close to like my neighbor, and he's left like multiple notes being like, "You parked on my side."
Like within the lines?
Yeah, within the line. I'm like always on his line. I'm like, what do you want me to do?
New idea, LA parking podcast. What do you think?
LA parking. So we just talk about people's parking.
We just talk about parking under trees, parking complaints,
Best place to park.
best place to park.
See, I don't know these like parking tricks. Like I didn't know that you could park at a grocery store if there's no other parking.
You can't.
Oh, wait, what? No, someone told me that's a trick.
Well, it's a trick, but you're also kind of rolling the dice, hoping that
What do you mean? You can get like a ticket doing that?
no, you can get towed from it.
You can?
Absolutely. Like on the Trader Joe's over here,
Yeah.
it's so busy that they have a guy walking around and they have this little piece of chalk.
Yeah.
And they chalk the tires.
Oh.
And then he'll timer and then he'll come back and if there's still chalk on there, he'll call a tow truck and your car will be gone.
Okay, I'm not talking about like Trader. I'm talking about to go to like a grocery store that like doesn't look very popular.
Like Ralph's? You're
something
more
like
likely to be okay at Ralph's. But you could still it's not like a trick.
not?
It's just like, okay.
Oh, so parking's scary. It's just like everything.
It's so scary.
Every time you park, you're just like, I guess this could be it.
This could be the end.
I've never got a ticket yet.
Yeah.
I've had the car since June.
That's kind of amazing.
Is it?
Yeah, because normally you get tons of tickets with the signs here that are like no parking 3 to 6.
Oh yeah, there
4
was
to
like
8,
sweeping. I'm like, what
8
is this,
to
like
12.
Fiddler on the Roof happening on Friday?
Yeah, and except for these days also, and the full moon.
It
yeah.
is kind of crazy that I haven't gotten a ticket.
Yeah.
I guess I do know how to, maybe I'm like really good at reading the parking signs.
Maybe you're not dyslexic.
Maybe I just have lied the whole time.
Maybe you don't know who you are. We have to figure out who you are through parking. These are all great titles for podcasts, by the way.
You figure out who you are through parking?
Yeah. Well, tell us about your podcast.
Oh, the podcast I have with my mom.
Such a good idea. Tell us about it.
Oh, okay. So I have a podcast with my mom called Got It From My Mama.
Yeah.
I actually have it with my mom. She lives in New York. And okay, so it started, I guess over like 2.5 years ago now. It started, I went through a really bad breakup and my mom was just saying like really awful shit about my ex, but it was like literally the only thing.
Breakups are a lot of part of your actions.
Yeah.
Have bad breakup, make a podcast. Bad breakup, let's get the tree to fix it. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I've dated a lot.
There's a theme.
Let's just say I'm not married. So yeah, I went through this breakup and I was like really upset. And my mom was just saying like the meanest shit about him and just in general. She was just being funny. And
Yeah.
I was already doing a lot of videos with her on my Instagram.
Right.
And then people were like, I want to see longer videos. And then I was like, well, like a full YouTube thing might be too long. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll just do a podcast with her. So yeah, I did a podcast with her and like 100, I don't know, like 28 episodes later.
And she's funny.
She's really funny.
You guys have a good rapport. I've listened to it. It's
I'm
great.
like this straight man.
Yeah.
She's like, but she compliments everyone on the podcast. She'd be like, oh my God, this studio is amazing. Tori, why don't you do something like that? Like nothing I do is ever good enough. Like she compliments like the recorder. She'd be like, oh my God, look at the zoom. Look at it. It's so tiny. Tori, I wish you were that tiny.
Yeah.
Like my mom just like, but I
She's
guess it's
roasting
like,
you.
She's roasting me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. We have like a lot of guests on. And sometimes it's funny with the guests because she's not a comic, but she's very funny. So you know, like comics, like we know how to like sometimes hold back. Like we can read the room. My mom she can't, but she can read the room. But in the terms of like, she'll just like go on with the guests and like almost compliment them instead of asking them any questions. Like the guests will be like, oh yeah, like I broke up with my husband and then I found my true calling. My mom's like, you know, that's so good you broke up with your husband and you found your true calling. But like she doesn't even like.
Then it ends.
Yeah.
It's like
but
dead,
she just like
dead space.
compliments
Yeah.
them. But yeah, it's really funny.
That's a mom's job is to compensate. It's okay and compliment you.
I'm trying to think of the best, like the funniest guest we've ever had. Well, we had one time a guest from The Bachelor. He was on, or no, he was on The Bachelor, but he was like, he was a guy.
Cut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mom was like basically trying to get me to like move to Chicago to see him.
Oh, it was remote?
Yeah, we did this remote during,
Yeah.
and she was like, Tori, like, he's coming to New York. Like, I think just like meet up with him. Like, you never know. My mom's favorite word is like, you never know.
Yeah.
My mom's favorite is you never know. And I don't know. Like, my mom will literally say like the worst thing. She'll be like, why don't you just like email Michael Lawrence? I'm like, that's not how it works. She's like, oh, don't be mad at me. I don't know these things.
Right.
Like, if she was like in jail.
She gives you outlandish ideas and then backs them off.
Yeah, or about
Yeah.
anything. She'll like criticize me. She'll be like, no, you know, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it's a good idea. It's been going well. How do you grow the podcast without, like, aside from making great content? Mm-hmm. Do you guys have marketing strategies or how do you make it expand its reach?
I guess guest. She doesn't really do much.
So it's guest oriented?
Yeah, I mean, people like when it's just me and my mom. But obviously I think having the guests like help and stuff. And then we go on other people's podcasts.
Right.
But my mom like knows how to put it on. Like, because she owns a Pilates studio now. But like back in the day, she was like a fitness correspondent for like CBS and like was always on camera.
Okay. So this is not out of her realm.
No, she was like a funny fitness. Like she was a comic, but like
Yeah.
a fitness person.
A performer.
Yeah, she was a performer.
Yeah.
Like nowadays she would have like blown up on TikTok. You know what I mean?
She still could.
She still could. But she would go on this show called The Joe Franklin Show. And it was like just a talk show. I guess it was like pretty big. And she would like flirt with him. But he was like old. It's like watching these videos. She's like, you know, Joe, you got to stretch your arms, pretend you're on the beach. Or like, don't pretend you're naked. Like the shit she was saying, I was like, Mom.
Yeah.
It was like so funny.
That is funny. And she's So she has a natural inclination to perform, which makes the podcast have a good rapport between you because you're not like having to teach her from scratch.
No, she's a performer naturally.
You kind of like guide it if it gets too complimentary or you make it into a thing, but you kind of can let her go, which is great.
Yeah, and then we get into like fights and stuff on the podcast, and people seem to enjoy that.
But since you're kind of a duo with your own episodes and you also have guests, that's kind of like the both worlds because there's the guest-oriented podcasts where like every week I have a guest, which is this one.
Yeah.
Or like the duo or like personality podcast where you tune in to hang out with two of your friends.
Right.
And you kind of have both. So you can get a guest on to kind of boost the reach.
Yeah.
Because the guest, I mean, coming from someone who has a guest-oriented podcast, the bigger the guest, the bigger the episode. Right. Plain and simple. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And then there's like there's the baseline. Then you have like someone who's super popular and it just shoots up.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like, I mean, we used to, when we first started the podcast, we went on this podcast called Horrible Decisions, and it's like a really big like sex positive podcast, and my mom was just saying like the craziest shit. But see, I told you, like my mom knows how to go like get on. She was like, yeah, one time me and your father used vegetables, but she's like, but it's like she's already like told me that joke. Like I think at the point is she's like run out of material.
She has material.
Yeah, she has material.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we did a live show, part of the New York Comedy Festival before the pandemic in November 2019. And I was like kind of telling her, no, she was like, what am I going to do on the live show? And I was like, you're not going to know because you're not like, she's not a comic where she can like memorize things. Like, you know, how, like funny people when they first start comedy, they're just like, I'm a funny person, but I don't know how to like be funny on command.
Yeah.
So my mom, I just like, you just like show up and I'll like do everything, like producing her type of thing.
Yeah, you're kind of taking her stories and turning them into bits and like panel, so to speak.
So the live show was really fun. I had an old video of her teaching fitness playing, and then I came up, and then I just did like a fake workout, and then I just pretended to be her basically, and then I had like the whole audience like doing workouts and stuff.
Yeah.
And then she came on and she's like, that's not how it is, Tori. It's a 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we like sat down and we did all these segments about like moms. I had a segment where I played voicemails from her. And I did like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, so like the sound, like I'm forgetting how it goes. Yeah, because and I was like, in a minute, you have to tell me, like, what do these voicemails mean? Because there's no she's like, hi, I really need to call you. And I was like, what was this about? Right. You know what I mean? And she's like, I don't know. Or then like, when she was babysitting my nephew, she'd be like, hi. And then there'd just like be a baby in the background crying.
Like, tend to the baby, Mom.
Yeah. And then also it was funny with the live show. My mom was like saying hi to people in the audience. Yeah. Like, it was like my wedding. She's like, oh yeah, the pot. She's like, oh my God, I didn't know you came. Hi, how are you? It was really funny.
That's good. And so you guys can, once you have the episode completed. Yeah. Are you relying on like the current trend of like, you'll never guess what Tori's mom said about Kim Kardashian or something, and using that as clickbait?
I mean, honestly, I'm like still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a mix between like doing stuff that I think people will relate to, like mom stuff, and then also just doing stuff that like is topical and like maybe her version of it is like funny, and then other people might be like, oh yeah, that's like what my mom would say about Kim Kardashian's ass always hanging out.
Yeah. I feel like that's, and this is kind of a question because I struggle with it with the podcast too. Is like that's the hardest part now is that YouTube has become, I feel like in the last 2 years even more clickbaity. Like all of the clips that do well, you're like, you'll never guess, or like click here to find out. And you kind of have to do that now.
You have to do like I've watched some videos also, like you always have to have everything with a question. Yeah. It's like, I can't believe I did this, or wait until you hear this, or this helped me with this. Yeah. Like the 5 things, like anything with a list.
Yeah, anything that's not telling you what it actually is.
Yeah, or like, I can't believe my mom said this. It's like so broad. Yeah.
And every time I search for something now, it leads me to a video. I was like, how do I reset the oil filter thing on my car? And I was like, and then I have like 10 videos on how to do it. I'm like, just give me the answer in text. Click this button.
Or it will take like 9 minutes to get to the answer. Yeah. Because they plug in their YouTube. They're like, I know you're here for an oil change, but let me also tell you about like,
subscribe to my channel.
Yeah, like I'm also throwing a wedding, which reminds me, I got to tell you about Pinterest. I have to say, YouTubers, like I used to shit on them, but they're amazing at taking like
Nothing.
something and making it into a 9-minute thing.
They'll take
They'll be
nothing
like,
and
yeah.
make it into a video.
They'll be like, Pinterest. Let me tell you about Pinterest. Let's first start with the letter P. P. I love the letter P. Makes me think when I was a kid in kindergarten, I couldn't pee at night. Anyway, like, it is kind of amazing what they can do.
And before we get to that, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Oh, and also subscribe to my Patreon. Oh, and make sure you like my Instagram profile.
It is
And then join the
crazy.
mailing list so you can get more. And you're like, I just want the answer.
Yeah, it is.
But everyone's a YouTuber now.
Yeah, everyone's a YouTuber. I used to edit videos for a YouTuber. I used to edit videos for this.
So you're deep in it.
I was deep after this digital media company in New York. I was like a full-time editor there. And yeah, it got like exhausting, mentally exhausting for me.
So you must be really good at doing the graphics and making it look nice.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was good for me because it like taught me how to be like a very fast editor.
Yeah.
But like it was just like emotionally draining. I was like, if I have to edit a 10-minute video of like why coconut oil can be used 20 different times, like I'm gonna like I can't.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. And also just working at like an all-female company, it was so funny too because it would be like, oh, woman empowerment and like, oh, don't wear a bra here and like have your nipples show. But then they paid me like shit. They're like, have your nipples show, but also you're only going to get like $150 a day. But
Right.
like, be you, like ask for more money. And it's like literally doesn't make any fucking sense. And then like the girl.
Did you ask for more money?
I did. And they're like, we can't give it to you. Like you need to be a faster editor. Well, actually, this is a different digital media company.
Yeah.
This was
But faster is like shortcuts? Like
just like okay, for instance, there was this other company I worked for. It's like a very popular Instagram account now. And they were giving me like a base rate for the videos and they said it only should take you 2 hours. And I was like, well, that makes sense. The base rate for the video is similar to my hourly rate.
Yeah.
Obviously, the video ends up taking me 7 hours. And I was like, hey, this video is taking me way longer because you're providing notes back, which you didn't tell me that was part of it. And they're like, well, you'll just have to be faster then. I was like, I can't live off of like $100 a day.
I can't live off of faster.
Yeah, I can't live off. Also, and then the best is they like, because it was like, thanks so much for like doing the trial period. And I was like, first off, I had no idea this was a trial period. But we want you to hold off on the Paris Hilton video because we're going to try some other editors now. And I was like, nothing says like, I don't know, like digital media world more than like hold off on the Paris Hilton video of like how she's worn like, you know, solo pants 10 times amazing. But like, we're going to try other people.
Yeah. Well, now I have my you'll never guess what Tori said about Paris Hilton clip.
Exactly.
Thank you. Look at the clicks go up.
Exactly. I did it on purpose for you. I was like, saying it. I was like, Paris Hilton.
You're just going through like the 10 most famous clickbaiters. You're like, which one is it going to be?
But yeah, they would. That was annoying.
Yeah. And you've had a few different podcasts. Like, how do you decide when you're like, all right, I want to pivot?
I've only really had one podcast.
I thought you had another one with a co-host.
Oh, but that was like very short.
Was it very short?
It was like 5 episodes.
Okay, so after 5, you were just like, this isn't working.
That was like the only one I've ever had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've only had one with my mom.
One with your mom.
Well, then the other one was like just 5 episodes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And did you have them at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, that's got to be a lot of work to do two podcasts
I think
simultaneously.
it was, but I didn't really do like the editing or anything. I just was like the talent, which was fun. But then I just think we're still friends, but it just like it didn't work with us like on a podcast. I think we both put like a lot of pressure on ourselves to be like good. You know what I mean? So it wasn't very like natural.
Yeah, there's a lot of we have a lot of friends in comedy, and there's always like conversations we have. Oh, we should do a podcast, and you're like, it really takes personalities to mesh in terms and workload, and you're running a business together. So it's more than just like we like to hang out. That'll be good on audio because sometimes it won't.
Right. And like the thing about my mom, I guess, is which is good and bad. It's like she is my mom, so I could say whatever I want to her. But at the same time, like she is my mom, so she's not like she doesn't know how to do like do anything technology wise. She's just like, I just show up. I don't know what I do.
She's the talent.
Yeah, she's the talent.
Producer.
I'm the producer. I'm like seeing if the audio's good. I'm like, Mom, you like, can you have not such a heavy like Long Island accent? It's like the audio's fucking up.
No, the audio. I mean, when you do her accent, it's great. I love the accent. I love that like local accents are still a thing because they're kind of going away.
Yeah. So actually, my mom in her early 20s, when she was doing all this on camera work or TV appearances, she went to go to a vocal coach to get her accent. Like she didn't want her her accent was stronger.
Okay.
So she actually so she was like the real nanny, but like her accent was, Right. But yeah.
Or like in Wolf of Wall Street, the girl, the queen of Bay Ridge.
Yeah, but my mom's accent is like heavier than
Heavier.
that. She grew up in Jericho,
Okay.
which is like the most like Jewish. I'm gonna say Jappy, which is Jewish American princess, just to clarify. Yes. Like area. So her accent was like very like this, and she would like
And she's like, I want it for camera work. Is that because she was advised to? Or
maybe someone told her, or maybe she just thought. But my dad would like drive her to these lessons, and
does he have an accent?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, he might. I think it's like
Is he also from there or no?
I don't know where my dad's from. My dad's one of those people who's like, I'm from everywhere. I grew up in Florida. My dad was a traveling. I'm like, I don't know what your dad was. He tells me the same stories every time. I'm like, every time you tell me, I can't retain what the hell your dad was. I just know he was something traveling.
It's a different story every time.
Yeah. Oh, no. He was something with like the JCC. My grandpa.
What is that?
The Jewish, I don't know, some Jewish.
CC? Jewish. Carbon copy? Well, he sends a lot of emails.
It was some like Jewish, like fitness. It's like a center.
Okay.
I don't know. I think people might know who.
That sounds right.
Yeah, Jewish.
Like a YMCA?
Yeah, it's a YMCA for Jews.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess my grandpa was like part of that. And so my dad was like, we traveled everywhere. I lived in Florida. I lived in Bayonne, New Jersey. And I'm like, all right, Dad. Like, and he's like, one time I went to camp and I was the camp counselor and I had to drive a school bus. And me and my sister were like, Dad, we've heard the story like 7 fucking times.
So he went around the country opening up JCCs. Like he was like Fight Club, but the JCC version.
Exactly.
And he couldn't talk about it because that was the first rule of JCCs. You don't talk about JCC.
Yeah, you can't talk about it. You can't talk about the JCC.
And then you don't really have an accent. So didn't...
I don't?
No.
It's funny, when I go back to New York and then I come back here, everyone's like, your accent's so much stronger.
Like your New York?
Yeah, my New York accent.
Oh, yeah. And probably when you go back there, like, you're such a Californian.
Yeah. Honestly, when I go back to New York, I'm like, I feel alive. I feel like...
Even now, post-pandemic?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think New York has changed at all.
It totally has. What are you talking about? I totally notice it. But maybe since it's like your home.
What do you notice?
It's like way less populated in the streets when you walk around.
Okay.
After like 10 p.m., it's like virtually a ghost town unless you're in like the East Village, the West Village, or like very densely populated areas.
Okay. Oh, okay, I guess you're kind of right.
It feels way less safe.
Yeah, it's definitely less safe. Like, I mean...
Because there's less people around.
No, it does feel less safe because when I was staying with my parents, there was this guy that came up to me on a bike. Also, there's just like something creepy when it's like nighttime and he's coming up to you on a bike. He's like, where's Central Park? And I was like, and I was also listening to music and I was like, oh, like, and then I was like, oh, I think it's that way. And he was like, where are you going? And I honestly, like, it was the first time in my 30 years of being in New York, I was like, I'm like scared.
Yeah.
I thought he was like, because there was no one around. It felt like LA.
Exactly.
All I had was like a closed La Pan. I was like, what the hell are they going to do for me? It's closed. Right. Like the subway was over there, but it was creepy. And then I ran to my parents' building because I was just like creeped out by this guy. Yeah,
because there's a safety of numbers of people around.
Yeah, there was
it's
no
like, hey,
one.
what are you doing, stranger? Don't talk to her like that. Like you're hoping someone will be around, or just like you kind of feel like this guy will feel embarrassed of harassing me in front of other people. But when it's just you and him, he can be as creepy.
Yeah, I felt like actually unsafe.
What if you like whipped out your phone and just started recording?
I could have done that.
That could be like the new safety tip.
Yeah,
that's the new mace.
I'll do that in New York.
Just be like,
I'll be like, we're live.
Yeah.
Growing up,
shout outs to NYPD. We're live on the 33rd and 8th.
He might be like, oh, put my handle. There was one time in New York where, I mean, I lived in a safe neighborhood, but I guess there was like a rapist on the loose. Not like, there was a rapist on the loose, and my parents were very concerned. So they said, when you're coming...
On the loose?
I know.
Because he was not... They just like
they
untied him? He's like a horse. He tied him up. He didn't tie him up very well.
They lost him.
He's on the loose.
I don't know. He wasn't like captured or something. Maybe he wasn't a rapist, but he assaulted some woman, and there was like photos of him all over on the Upper East Side. Like,
yeah.
And so my parents were like, oh, if you come home late at night, like take a cab right to our door. And I didn't do that. I did it like an avenue away. And I thought it was like smart of me then to run that avenue screaming, don't rape me! Don't rape me!
You were yelling that?
Yeah. Because I thought like he wouldn't come after me, this guy.
But were other people like...
No one was there.
No one came to help? Okay.
No, that's the fucked up thing. No one came to help. Imagine if you
heard... A whole block?
Like, yeah, a long avenue. But it was like it's a quiet street on 89th and York.
Yeah.
It's like... Yeah,
is that where he was on the loose? Like in the...
I mean, I think so, yeah.
In the 80s?
In the 80s. And so I just was like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to get down this avenue without. I was like, I know. If I scream, he won't attack me. That's what my thinking was.
Yeah.
Which I
How
guess
old were
is
you?
18.
Okay. I guess
pretty
it makes
smart.
sense.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a cell phone, right? Or maybe
I
you
did have a cell phone, but it was like so late. It was like 3 a.m.
Okay.
Who was I gonna call?
Yeah, and you can't live stream with those phones back
No,
then.
and yeah. I think I had an iPhone back then, or
Okay.
maybe not. Maybe it's still a flip phone.
A little flip
or
phone?
A blue,
A
Blackberry.
blueberry.
A Blackberry.
A blueberry and
I had a
yogurt.
blueberry. That's something like an LA mom would be like, here's your blueberry.
I feel like that was like a hack joke that was like probably around when BlackBerry
Was it?
came out. I'm sure. I don't know for sure, but I feel like
I think we should bring it back.
blueberry.
Yeah.
I don't even think people know what a BlackBerry
Really?
is.
I think people know.
I guess so, because of the hills, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, or I think everything like young, like mid 2000s is kind of coming back, so people think it's like funny.
To have one.
Yeah, or just like I think they like probably seen photos.
I feel like 90s kind of came back, and now we're working into early 2000s.
Like I never had that giant phone that they showed like Saved by the Bell, but I like know I can recognize it.
Right. You never yeah, like the brick.
Yeah, I always thought those were so cool.
So cool, because Zach Morris was the cool guy on the show.
Right. Where did they put that phone? Like when they were out, they would just hold it like a purse?
Yeah, where did they put it out? It felt like they only used it around the house, which seemed like...
No, and also like at the diner. He would like pull it out.
Yeah, where was it?
It is like, right, it was just, also we never, imagine like walking around with that in your pocket.
What if he had like the yoga pants that are all the rage now with the phone pocket and we just didn't know?
Right.
And it's just this huge thing.
People would be like, oh wow.
Because the square is kind of part of our outfit now.
Right, but it'd be like a really thick square.
Yeah, it's like everyone gets dressed and like, oh, okay, I look good.
Yeah.
And then they put the phone in and the square. I mean, I guess men do it more than women.
Wait.
The phone in the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think women do it too.
In yoga pants.
Right.
But your phone doesn't go in your pocket in these pants. Well, yes, these are a bit baggier.
These are just like jeans.
But you don't put the phone in the pocket.
No, I put my phone in my bag.
Right. See, men don't have bags, typically.
See, I also noticed that in New York, more guys have bags there.
They have backpacks, usually.
Backpacks, tote bags.
The
and
fanny
tote
pack
bags.
is big. The fanny pack this way?
Yeah, that's like yeah. But every guy's got like a tote bag.
What's a tote bag?
A tote bag? You don't know what a tote bag is?
No.
It's like the bag you get when you like leave a museum. It's like a fancy bag.
Oh, like a...
It's like a cloth material.
But it's kind of like a purse.
Yeah, it's a purse.
But it just has no... It's like a one compartment purse.
Yeah. It's like you use to like go pick up groceries at like the farmer's market.
Okay, I have one of those that I put my notes in.
Yeah, but I'm saying
And it's
every
made out of
guy in New
jean.
York has one.
It's interesting because when I'm in New York, I feel like it's too open. Like people could just take things out of it.
Well,
Is that how a purse feels?
no.
Is
But
it vulnerable to have a purse?
No, I mean, I'm also like, I just leave things open.
Because it's like, here's all the valuable stuff right here. And it's like, right.
God, you're scaring me. I'm going back to New York in like
No, but
a week or so.
I would feel vulnerable if it's like, here, all my money, my phone, and everything is in this bag.
I've never thought
and
about
I'm just going to
that.
hold on to it lightly.
I don't know. I've never thought of it. My mom like barely takes the subway, but when she did, her like purse would be out. She'd be like, "Oh my god!" Like she doesn't. She's not well in the
You
subway.
need like a money belt where you.
Yeah, but then you're a foreigner. If you come on the train, like looking up all the time, and you've got some like, not a cool fanny pack. I'm talking like 7 years before it was cool.
But those are cool.
Now they're cool, but I'm saying that's when you knew someone was a tourist.
Back then. Now you can't tell.
Well, now you
What
kind
if
of they're
fanny
not wearing
packs are just a
masks.
long game for tourists to feel comfortable?
Maybe. I mean, maybe they started it. I have a fanny pack. God, you're making me feel like I'm not cool anymore.
I mean, you're obviously cool. What does your fanny pack say on it?
I don't even know.
Oh, you have it here? Like, oh, this is great.
Kenzo?
That's a cool one. Paris.
Yeah. Kenzo. I think
Is
that's
it
just
like
the
a brand?
Yeah, I think that's just a
It's
brand.
like sturdy. Because they used to be like made out of like pretty flimsy like nylon.
Yeah, but now they're all the rage. They're cool.
Right.
It's like,
so
oh, my fanny pack. And also I've got like a weird belt buckle.
how much does that cost?
I don't know, like 100 something.
$100 for a fanny pack.
Yeah.
Wow, they used to give them away with cologne.
So yeah, that's my
That's how
fanny
I
pack.
had my fanny pack. I had one. I was doing that like in high school in the 90s.
That's cool.
It was a polo sport.
Oh, wow. Do you still have it?
No, it's long gone.
Oh, I was going to say, like, you could bring
But
it
I was the
back.
only one doing it. So
Oh,
I'm going
okay.
to say that I started this trend.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah,
You and the...
in Vancouver before anyone else.
Wait, Vancouver? Where's
Canada.
Oh, right.
You really are a New Yorker. You're like, what? There's other countries?
I've been to Vancouver once.
Did you like it?
No.
Why?
No. Wait, did I? I don't know. I went with my family. It was like, we went, I think it was Vancouver. It was like really cold, but there was during the time of year where like everything was closed for some reason. Maybe it wasn't
Closed?
Vancouver. It was definitely somewhere in Canada.
Okay. Was it raining a lot?
It was like freezing. And we
Snow
drove.
or raining?
Raining.
Yeah, it's Vancouver.
Yeah.
It's Rain City. It rains all year.
Oh my God. So it's like Seattle?
It's exactly like Seattle, but better.
Why is it better?
It's just bigger and like more stuff going on. Seattle's cool too, but I've lived in both and I like Vancouver better.
I don't
Seattle
know.
has the fish market where they throw the fish and they catch the fish.
I've been to Seattle like once when I was really young.
You're very well traveled.
I really have been everywhere when I was younger, and then I like kind of just stopped.
Not even for comedy, touring. Florida, where you
I
go
went
to
to
gigs.
Florida. Where else have I gone? Yeah, I don't know. I just really like to stay in New York or LA.
Yeah. So what part of your comedy career brought you to LA from New York?
I guess I just felt like in New York, I was like, oh, I know everyone. Like I've always, besides college, I've only just really like lived as an adult in New York. And then I was like, oh, I want to like try LA. And then also, you know, my friend, like Carolyn, who
yeah.
produces your show with you.
Yeah.
She was my best friend in comedy. Well, she didn't do comedy anymore at that point. So we met like, I don't know, 6 years ago or 7 at an open mic. She came up to me and she was like, are you the host of the open mic? It says like redhead comedian, talk to the redhead comedian. And I was like, what? I was like, who is this girl? And then I was like, no, I'm not the host. And then I just was like, she seems normal. Cause at that time, like, I don't know, I feel like comedy's really changed. Like now, like you can be like pretty and cool on stage. Like back in the day, it was like, you gotta be grungy and like look like you have no home. I don't know.
You gotta
Maybe
be a troll.
What?
It was much more like it wasn't as popular.
No, it was like, you gotta wear a sweatshirt and look like you haven't washed your face in like 7 years because you're working on your jokes. So I just like, oh, that girl looks like she washes her face and puts some mascara on. I was like, let's be friends. So we were friends, but then she was like, honestly, like, I don't really want to do comedy. Like, my parents want me to do comedy. I was like,
Her
what?
parents want her to do comedy?
You never heard the story?
No.
Her parents wanted her to do stand-up because her dad, I think, her dad's a lawyer and he always wanted to do stand-up, I think, or was always like interested. And she's like, I don't really want to, but like, I'll go with you. Just like take photos of me on stage. I was like, what? Like, who is this girl?
Yeah.
And then I would text her being like, I'm going to this open mic. And she'd be like, oh, like, I'm not coming. And I was like, fuck her. Like, she's not as like, because, you know, when you're first starting out, you need to do like 5 open mics a night. Like, crazy.
Yeah,
like,
a lot.
I think my first, like, I don't know, like, when I think about my mid-20s, like, all I did was stand-up, comedy, open mics. Like, I'd feel like guilty if I didn't go to like, at least, if I wasn't doing comedy like 5 times a week, you know?
I still feel guilty.
Yeah. So I just was like, all right, I'm not hanging out with her because she's not serious about it. And then we ran into each other. And then she started like producing shows. And then anyway, so she was like, oh, I'm moving to LA. At this point, we've been friends for a few years. And she's like, I'm moving to LA. And my lease was up. And I always told her I want to move to LA. And I'm very indecisive and she's not. And she's like, I'm moving to LA. Should I look for a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom? And I was like, okay, a 2-bedroom. And then I like...
That's a good producer. She's good at pushing things forward.
Yeah. And so we looked at apartments. We came in like the beginning of March, like literally right before COVID. And then she moved end of March. And then, so she moved like, I think she was in LA for like a week before COVID happened. And then I was like gonna move, but I was still figuring out all my like packing and stuff. And then that's it. And then that's how the story crumbles.
And now you're thriving in LA post-pandemic, which is where you want to be, right?
Yeah, I like LA.
Yeah. What was it like being on MTV's Wilding Out?
Oh my God, that was such a funny story. Okay, I can tell you. So basically, that was like a few years ago. Okay, so my friend Jacob Williams, do you know Jacob?
No.
He was on the show for like a few years, and he, I think, just sent out something on like Facebook, literally being like, if you're interested in Wilding Out, here's like the casting email. So I just emailed them, and they're like, here's the audition side. I was like, okay, I did it. Again, like, I don't know how to rap. I've never had like any interest in rapping. I just was like, I want to be on MTV, and like maybe I can be on Girl Code. Like I thought like
It'd be like an avenue.
I thought Wilding Out would like get me on Girl Code.
Yeah.
So I think I like wrote some raps or something, and then they're like, okay, great, you made it to the next round. I was like, okay, cool. And then after 2 rounds of like self-tape, they're like, you made it to the final round, the live audition. I was like, what the hell is the live audition? And they're like, we're doing it different this year. It's like a competition now to get on the show. So it'd be like American Idol, but for like to be on Wilding Out. And so I was like, okay. And they're like, you're going to come to the live audience, like we're TRL filmed, and you're going to battle Nick Cannon. I was like, what? Also, I just started working on that digital media company as a full-time editor. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't, what am I going to be like? Oh yeah, can I leave for 2 hours? It's not a doctor's appointment. I have to rep against Nick Cannon. It's just like, I think also nowadays, people are so much more willing to be like, oh, you have a side hustle? Like, that's so cool. But like a few years ago, it was like, you can't ever say you have a side hustle. Like, you're here as an editor, you're an editor. But now everyone's like, oh my God, you're an editor, you're a TikToker. Like, you sell things, like, you're a doctor. Like, that's amazing, you know?
Yeah, you're a doctor. You can be a whole person now. You don't have to be like, it's weird. We're kind of more focused on our self-image with like posting and promoting our self-image. But that self-image can be more authentic. It can be like, look, I am doing 3 things.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think I told them, I don't even know what I told the job. I think I said like, hey, so I got this opportunity to audition for this thing, but I really want to work at like Refinery. This is Refinery 29. I was like, I really want to work at Refinery 29. Like, I still want to be here, but I didn't want to be there. But I was like, I need the job.
Yeah.
So I go to MTV, whatever. Go to the studio, and again, I've like literally have never rapped in my life. This is not something I'm interested in. And there's 2 other guys there that are like actual battle rappers.
Right. They're like, and you're battling Eminem.
Yeah. No, like the other people I was like competing against.
Yeah.
And so they're like letting you know, like, I'm nice to you now, but like once we get in there, and they went like that. And I was like, and I'm just like, okay, like sounds good. And then we had a sound check, and they were like, we're not doing a sound check. And then the producers are like, oh, don't actually say your rap, just like do the beat if you wanted to do with the music. And I was like, yes, like I need to do that because I've never rapped with music before. So, you know, I was like, dun, 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 and everyone was like laughing. I was like, who is this girl? The actual battle rap was like, this girl's like so stupid. So then the actual taping happened, and you didn't battle Nick Cannon, you just said your raps to him, and then he would diss you back.
Yeah.
But the other 2 guys got so nervous because they've never like done, I guess, a live audience. Like, to them, this was like nerve-wracking. They were going to be on TV.
You were comfortable being a performer.
Yeah, I was like, I'm comfortable. And also, it was almost easier because I was like, I know I'm not good at rapping. So, like, I don't care. Like, there's no stakes for me.
Your identity is not tied up with you doing well.
But these were like, so they actually got, I've never seen this stage right. They couldn't get the words out. Like, it was really bad. And then I guess I won. And then they were like, you basically won on default. And I was like, wow. And then,
did you go like this?
No, I should have. And then there was another round. It was like all the winners from the past. So it was like basically a competition show. It was from the past. And then those were like more comedy games. And then I won all of those. And then it was between me and this other girl to like be on the actual show. I'll never forget, I like looked in the mirror and I was like, I guess this is it. I guess I'm going to have to quit Refinery 29 and I'm going to be a rapper. And like, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
And then the other girl beat me because she was actually really good. And then like the next day I had to go into work and edit fucking videos about like olive oil on your vagina. You know what I mean?
Just a whole different thing.
Yeah, it was bad.
I wonder what story those 2 guys are telling their friends. Oh man, I could have made it if I didn't have stage fright. I could have beat that girl.
Yeah, but it was so funny because they were hyping up. They're like, listen, like, I'll be nice to you now. And I was like, also, I'm not even battling you. Like, why were they like so like competitive about it?
Maybe they're insecure about the whole thing, obviously.
I think, but it was so funny. I kept like winning all like the comedy games, and then, you know, everyone's like, the white girl. Like, it was always like the white girl. That was like the bit, like the white girl.
Yeah. That's the clickbait on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Did they become rappers or they're like,
I don't know where they are.
Olive Garden.
I have no idea where my competition went.
Oh, what are some of your goals for this next year?
Oh my God, what are my goals? Well, I'm working on a script actually about my dyslexic high school.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So
like for a pilot or a...
Yeah, that's a pilot now. Well, I wrote it 8 years ago as a feature, and then it like won some awards, and it was just, I was like, oh, and then a few people were like, maybe you should consider this as a pilot, and honestly, because of the pandemic, and I'm just not doing as much stand-up as what I was doing in New York, I was like, I have more time on my hands to like do this. So yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Was that the thing you did for Ron Howard?
Yeah,
okay?
That's the thing I did. That was the feature I wrote.
Okay.
And then I got to like the finalists, and they were like, "Oh, would you ever consider this as a pilot?" And I really like didn't even think about it. And then they were just like, "Well, how are you going to make fun of?" Because basically the whole school is for people with learning disabilities. It's like based off my life, and they were like, "Well, how are you going to make fun of this?" You know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna make this funny? And I really like didn't know the answer. Like all I had was this feature I wrote, and then but now I guess it's taken me a few years to like kind of realize it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool though how it can take you so long to like figure these things out.
Yeah, I mean, like you wrote this thing that exists, and you might not find a home for it for many years, and that's okay. Because it was probably 90 pages before, right?
Yeah, I think it was like a 90 or 100 or something.
Right, so for a pilot, you probably want to get to, depending on your length, 30. Yeah.
But now it's like too long.
30's too long?
No, now I'm like it's funny. I've been like working on it.
Or split it up into 2 episodes.
Yeah, it is. So I was at a point where I was like confused what to do because the original idea was like, oh, there was this girl who knew she was at this learning disabled high school and she just wanted to leave and she hated going there.
That's you.
That was me. But then I was like, but I don't understand. Like, okay, so yeah, something happens and then she can't like leave the school and she's stuck. But so I was like, I don't know really. I just like couldn't. I needed to think of like a better story. Like I knew the setting and I knew I had the characters in the setting, but I didn't know what like the story would be continue. And then one of my really good friends who I saw like a few months ago, we were just talking about the school because we like to reminisce about like how weird it was. And I go, yeah, like what did your parents tell you when you went to the school? And she goes, they didn't tell me. I go, what do you mean? She goes, they didn't tell me it was a school for people with learning disabilities.
They're like, oh, here's your school?
She was like, I just went to this school and I thought everyone was acting really weird. And she made like a comment. She's like, we would make fun of each other for our disabilities.
Yeah.
It'd be like, oh my God. But also we would make fun of each other for our disabilities, but also it was like not weird to be disabled. Or like if someone was reading in class really slow, it wasn't like, I never felt like really sad about my disability or like being dyslexic or reading really slow because it was just like normal. It was normal to have a kid up in class taking like 5 minutes to read one word. Like, so I don't know. I just feel like it's like kind of a cool.
Right, because it was a group empowerment in a way because you were all more supportive of it.
Yeah, like I was the bully. Well, not I was the bully and then my other friend was the bully, but he had a stutter. So I was like so dyslexic and then he was trying to be mean and just had the stutter the whole time. So really it was just like a very odd school.
No.
Yeah, in the script I was thinking about it, like what the principal could say. And I feel like, because I said it in the time of like it takes place in like the mid 2000s because I'm just like, let me just write like what I know, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and so I was just, because the principal also, the teachers were like very over welcoming, like, no, like you're not special, but we'd be like, no, we know.
So on the school paper.
Yeah, they would say it was called the Churchill School and Center, and I'm like, it's called the center for a reason, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like very odd.
Well, at least you'll get some material out of it, and it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on, and then just like the podcast, doing more spots and stuff. But yeah, I like the pilot because I just feel like it's like I'm trying to think of it. It's like something that's different than stand-up. You know what I mean? It's like something you like have on paper. It
exists without you continually doing it.
Yeah.
Like stand-up only exists as you do it. Podcasts only exist as long as you keep doing them, so to speak. I mean, depending on the type of podcasts you have, they can be like, you know, you can get people listening to past episodes. But scripts exist as a unit and there's value in it. And so you have this kind of like asset you're creating that you can do other things with.
Right.
And it gives you like a different kind of power. And also if it takes off, guess what? Stand up and podcasts all of a sudden shoot through the roof.
Work on everything at once.
Yeah.
But it's really funny. So there's this, so I've been like tapping into like my high school and just like rethinking about everything. But there's a one kid at my school named Aaron and he had Asperger's, but he recently reminded me that Asperger's and being autistic and on the spectrum are all three the same things. And I was like, that's so annoying. You have like 3 names for your disability and I just have 1. And he was just, but he's so funny. But like, he's telling me that he's going to like work with kids. And I was like, but how can you work with kids? He's like, because I can read, Tori, you're dyslexic. You can't read. Like, it's just so funny that he like picks on me because I can't. Right. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. He's like, you were so bad, remember?
Yeah, that's good that you guys were all, it felt like you had a community where you could be kind of, it's like almost like your own safe way to talk about it without being like, and also make fun of it the way kids make fun of it without it being like, you're just one and we're all not disabled and you are.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all kind of in it together.
But it was interesting because it was in the school in the city. We would like compete or for sports teams, we would do like other schools. But everyone knew that our school was different. So they would like want to compete with us because we weren't obviously very good at sports. And I'll never forget this French school.
That's a movie.
Right?
I feel like that movie's been done a million times. But yeah, that's a movie.
There was this French school called like Le Français.
Lycée.
Oh, you know it?
Yeah.
No, I really
No,
didn't.
you can't tell the story?
No, I don't like what they did to us. They like peed in our locker room in high school. Oh no, what happened was we actually beat them in a sport and they were like shocked.
You can tell me what they did has nothing
No,
to do
I know.
with me.
I'm just saying. So the school was, or like the sports team was really mad that we beat them. They were like, fuck, like, are you kidding me? So they peed in our locker room apparently.
Men and women?
It was a boys team and they went into the girls' locker room, whatever, to change, and
Yeah.
they peed in the girls' locker room.
Like on the floor?
I don't know. Yeah, like in the showers, on the floor.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. How would they get caught? They just pee everywhere?
I think there was pee.
They're doing a full CSI. Yep, this is French. This
yeah,
is
exactly.
French.
But I'll never forget when we had like other schools come for sports teams. I was like, oh my God, like everyone's so hot. Because like our school, no one really knew came. Like it was like school from K to 12. So no one really, like it honestly was like, I would joke it was like one flew over the cuckoo's nest because no one would come in or out. It was like maybe like one person.
So you're the same unit all the way through?
I mean, like the friend who didn't know she was at the school, she went from like 6th to 8th grade.
Until she found out?
Yeah, and then she tried to leave for 3 years. I was like, I've been trying to leave for 12 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely an interesting
That's hilarious.
place.
We always get so much pressure to do more in our lives. Like, hey, do a podcast, do this thing, work out more, eat better. But what's one thing you could take away that would make your life better? Like I could stop doing this one thing and things would get better. Because our plates are full.
Plates are one thing. I don't know. Just stop like checking Instagram probably.
That's a great one. How do you do it beyond just saying that? Because you're probably on it a lot, right?
Yeah, but
like
I
everyone.
try not to be. I told I don't know. I'm trying to do this thing where I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go on my phone for like the first hour. I wake up.
That's good.
Just to try it. Or like give myself only 1 hour a day to like just scroll through shit. Because every time I scroll through shit, I like never feel good.
No, and it's purposefully like that movie they had on Netflix where they talk about it. It's like it's designed to give you something just to keep you in. It's not like a predetermined, it's not like a book where there is a next page.
Yeah.
It's changing the page as you and watching you to keep you on.
Right. So it's really
So depending on how long you look at this one, it'll change what the next page is.
I gotta get off of it.
Yeah. I have a flip phone for that too now.
Oh, you have a flip phone?
Yeah, I have an iPhone, but like I forward my number to the flip phone.
Yeah.
And then that's when I write and do things like that.
No, that's good because I gotta get off of it. Or like sometimes I'll like look at who looks at my Insta stories.
That's not good.
That's something you do when you're single. If you don't know, that's the thing you do.
Oh, just see who's creeping on you?
Yeah. You're like, oh my, you're like, what? And then you get like obsessed about it. And then you'll do like, but like Instagram is so stupid. It's like the version of like being in gym where you're like, I'm not going to look at this person because like they're going to know I like them. But it's like all on the internet now.
Yeah.
You know?
But okay, so you're looking at who liked your thing. Other people who look at your profile who don't follow you?
No, I look at who looks at my Insta stories.
Right. But you go through that stories and then you know, you're looking and you're like, oh, this person looked at it. But they're looking at my story, but they don't follow me. That's a weird thing.
Yeah, like for instance.
Because you have to like actually go to your page. It's like 2-step. That's extra stalky.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like not once, maybe like, who is this person? Watch a story? No.
Yeah.
But if they're doing it repeatedly, that's stalkery.
I had this thing actually was really funny with Carolyn. There was this guy. Carolyn was looking at her Insta stories because again, that's what you do when you're single. You look at, you're like, any potentials
in your story. But then what? Okay, so you see a potential in there, and then what do you do?
Well, no, you don't like see. You have to like do a lot of work. Okay, say you see someone, and you're like, oh wait, I don't know this person, and then you look on their profile, and you're like, wait, they look like cute. And then honestly, this never really happens. Maybe like once it's happened. And then you're like, oh, are they engaged? Are they married?
Okay.
And then that's pretty much it. I've never like actually messaged anyone from my Insta. I just look more if I dated someone and I see that they're looking at my shit.
Okay, so X is stalking.
Yes.
And then potentials, this is a lot. You should definitely slow this. This is a lot of work.
But the best is
it's already 10% of this podcast.
Right? So wait, what happened was one time really weird. Carolyn was looking and she was like, oh wait, Tori, do you know this guy? He's looking at my Insta stories. And I was like, oh no, I don't know him, but like, I think he just follows me. And then the next thing I know, the guy that I don't know posted a photo of my parents' dog on his Instagram feed. Isn't that really weird? Like took some photo that my mom posted and posted it on his own feed.
And with what? Did he write anything?
Nothing. Didn't write anything. Just a photo of like Dawn. And then we were like, and then I messaged him like, why did you post that? And then he took the photo down and never responded to me. And then I went on Instagram Live and basically like, maybe it's a little bullying. Well, not really. It was really weird what he did. I was like, everyone, DM whatever, the guy's Instagram and be like, why do you have a picture of Dawn? Like, whatever. And then he basically like finally got back to me. He was like, I just thought it was a nice photo. I was like, yeah, but it was like odd.
That's very strange.
Right?
But it would be less strange if he was like, hey, I just wanted to get your attention. Are you single? Like, that would be, you're like, all right, that was weird, but but like to like just not say anything after that.
Right.
Is weird.
It was weird. It was very strange that he did that.
Okay, so maybe we can reduce the...
Yeah, I need to stop with the Instagram.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a change.
You think?
I think people are getting sick of it.
When? Do you think
I don't know.
happening?
I think it's going to happen slowly. Like, I logged on to Facebook, and I'm like, it's a mess. I'm like, what is this for now? Yeah. I'm like, okay, I have to use it for these. Their business suite is great. I don't know if you use that to post.
No. Should I?
Yes, it's great because you can go into Facebook, you click on the business suite, and then you can take your posts for the week and schedule them all at once. So you can be like 9 a.m. This goes up for Instagram and Facebook, and then it's done.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only useful thing. Like Facebook Messenger, no thanks. There's nothing good coming
if
through
someone's
there.
Facebook messaging me, I'm like, I am concerned who you are. Like, are you in jail? Like, I don't know who you are. I'm freaked out.
Yeah.
It's always and like, but it is funny, and it kind of makes me sad that like in high school, you used to get Facebook friend requests. You wanted to have a lot of Facebook friend requests. And then I'm like, now I don't fucking care. I get all these weird random people. But then I'm like, wait, that's what Instagram's gonna be. Because every day I get random people following me and I get really excited. And then I'm like, wait, but like think about it like what I thought about what Facebook is now. I'm like, ew, who are these random people?
But that's because your number on Instagram is value for the Tori business. Like if you have 10,000 more, that means you could potentially sell more tickets. Yeah. Or people will look at you different. It's the fact that people look at you different based on your followers is kind of a problem too.
It is a problem. Yeah, people, and I feel like in LA it's a little more like people take it more seriously.
Yeah, I think in New York, because the way stage time works in New York is a little bit different, there can be people with less. I think that's changing though, but there have and are hilarious comics that don't really focus on their following.
I'm like jealous of those people.
I'm so jealous. We all are.
Yeah, but then they'll just like post random stuff. They're like, oh yeah, I got this writing job doing this. I'm like, oh, but that's interesting. Like that's cool that you just like post whenever actually something is important.
Because they're probably working instead of Instagramming.
Right.
I think there's the lesson here is that's like,
what's the lesson?
Don't focus on the followers, focus on the work and the followers will come.
Yes, that's good. And stop looking at my Insta stories.
Yeah. Weird dog guy. Well, I think that's a great place to end. Tell everyone your socials since we got to get them up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That we don't have to. They're already huge.
No, we can get them up. So my social is at Tori Piskin, ToriPiskin. And yeah,
look at that. No issues with spelling.
I mean, imagine my own last name. But
there was a lot of pressure there. I was like, here we go.
But actually, so my middle name is Elaine. But for the longest time, I thought it was Mallory, which is my sister's middle name. And I would be like, when I was watch like videos when I'm younger, I'm like, hi, it's Tori, Elaine, Mallory, Elaine. Wait, what's my middle name? Like, I just can't. I couldn't get it.
Yeah. My middle name's Sauter, like Sadr.
Sauter?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then, you know, like when you ask your parents stuff, and sometimes they're busy, they just go, yeah. Did you? Yeah. So that one time I was like, is it Sadar? And they're like, yeah. And then I spelt it like that at school for like a long time. And this one lasted less. When you see the calendar as a young person, it goes MTWT FSS. I was like, does that mean Tuesday happens twice? And they're like, yeah. And I went to school. I was like, oh, it's Tuesday again.
That's so funny.
It's horrendous. So.
Well, that's good. You'll teach your kids being like.
Yeah, we'll break the pattern now. Well, thanks again, Tori, for coming, and this was a great episode, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.